and gentlemen, once again, you have found us. This is the Dreamers Live podcast, coming to you live from the Pioneer Dream Studios here in the heart, the center of the universe, Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Yes, the Ville is hopping. It's the beginning of summertime, and the childrens are out of school, and they are already making the parents crazy. It's going pretty good.
It's crazy. This is episode 007, and before I give the title, I just want to say that, this is one of those topics, one of those conversations where you think, I wonder if we'll look back on this and we'll think, gosh, that was spot on, or I don't know what he was smoking when he came up with that idea, but was he way off?
It's like a coin flip.
Yeah,
okay, this could be great or not.
Yeah, which is really the case for any podcast we do.
If we're doing something,
it could be great. It might not be good.
Pretty much anything we do could be great, could be not great.
That's like deciding to have a kid. Could be brilliant, could sink the ship. We don't know. Yeah. So anyway, it was just. I try to keep my thumb on the pulse of the nation. As
I know.
Well know.
You're super wokey.
I'm wokey, and I'm
which apparently is a bad word now, to be culturally aware and considerate of others.
I don't know that I'm woke. I don't know that I'm unwoke. I don't know what I am. I'm just trying to think my way through life and
there you go.
And make as few enemies as possible.
That's good. Do a little good along the way.
Yeah. And but I do try to pay attention to what's happening and get a sense of stuff. And just in the last couple of weeks, I have kind of felt this, I don't know, vibe, a tide. I don't know what it is.
A vibe tide?
A vibe tide.
Okay.
And
I'll roll with that.
And this phrase popped into my head. I live on, as most of us do on our phones. And so I have, the Notes app. And so whenever something pops in my head, I write it down in my notes because I will lose it. And then if it's like squirrel. If something else comes by in 30 seconds, it's gone.
Squirrel.
So that may be the most monumental thought I could possibly have. I mean, it could be earth-shattering for me personally. It could be our key to riches and fame. And if I see a squirrel after that, I will lose it completely. And then I'll spend an hour after that thinking, gosh, what was the thought? What was I trying to think?
I feel after your thoughts in the notes, I'm just curious, do you ever in parentheses put brilliant or anything just to encourage yourself?
No, because I think the whole title of that file is brilliant. I mean, it's kind of a given that's a genius thought. So anyway,
so humble of you.
So about 2 weeks ago, I was watching something, or we were somewhere, and we had some experience, and I thought of this term, which is not an original term, but was just original to me at the time.
Right.
And I thought the best way to describe what I was feeling in that space is this is outrage fatigue.
Oh, outrage fatigue. Yeah.
And which it turns out is an actual thing. There's a thing called outrage fatigue syndrome.
Okay.
And AFS, you might have AFS and you didn't even know. OFS.
OFS, outrage. Yeah. Spelling is hard.
Yeah. You might have OFS. You might suffer from OFS and didn't even know it.
Okay, is it something that teenagers get or preteens?
It's people,
outrage
and actually
fatigue.
It's been around for a long time, but essentially what we have discovered is that being angry and pissed off and hateful all the time, every day, is tiring. And it's a hard thing to keep up. And after a while, you just get fatigued. Yeah. You just get worn down.
So you're saying being pissed off is only fun for so long.
It is. Okay. And we as a culture, and I don't think America is necessarily special in this way. I think this is happening.
We may be leading the pack, though.
Well, we are world leaders.
Yeah.
And so what we're discovering and what we're feeling, I think, at some level is that, we have been ramped up and called upon to be angry for so long that now we're just kind of running out of gas, a little bit of fuel for the outrage. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't specific issues or specific things that will enrage us or draw attention to it. Sure. Or even, for that matter, that anger isn't the right response sometimes. Sure. It just means as a collective, as an ongoing pulse in our nation, that we're starting to experience a little bit of this fatigue at that level. So, for us, it's interesting because I think we've kind of seen we've kind of seen this ramp up in our culture. Like
Sure.
when you and I were at the University of Oklahoma, there's only one.
There is only one.
We were at the University of Oklahoma. We were both at that time what was the School of Journalism. Now it's the College of Journalism. And because we were in that school, we got to take a lot of the same electives, which of
Yeah.
course, saved us money on books.
Yes, it did.
And we
And I took notes, and you borrowed my notes, and
And
Yeah.
we both did extremely well,
I
surprisingly.
forgive you.
And but in that, we got to choose a lot of the same electives and stuff. And so we took a film class, and in that film class, of course, they showed all these important movies.
That
and
guy, we called him Film Head. He was
Yeah.
so arrogant.
It was a little bit. It's not surprising for the arts, really.
He was just full of himself and about all the movies from the dawn
I
of
would be
man.
surprised, since we graduated 5 years ago, if he's still there or if he's even still teaching. I mean, it just didn't seem like he had that kind
I
of
had
longevity.
outrage fatigue going to his class.
I just had fatigue going to his class. But yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
No, so we throughout the semester of that course, I can't remember if it was a semester or a year-long course, but we
Felt like a
obviously
year.
watched a lot of films, and some of them were better than others, but they were all important for different reasons. And one of those that we watched was Network.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah,
I knew you
and
were
so-
getting ready to go for this. That's funny.
So at that time when we watched it, the film was probably 20 plus years old,
Right.
and we're watching it, and this is the whole thing where it's the birth of network news, what we now know as Fox and CNN and MSN and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so all that cable news network stuff was starting to break out, and so then there was a lot of ethical questions about what was proper in the news and how much entertainment should be part of the news,
Sure.
and all that kind of, and showcasing the news and all that kind of stuff. And there was also running into this whole cultural thing of this post-consumerism where we were all kind of being lulled to sleep culturally and pacified by cheap consumer goods.
Wow.
And finally,
Well,
this guy.
you're doing a lot of thinking
I know,
and saying
I'm
some
just-
big
I'm
words.
saying, yeah.
Post-consumerism?
This is what happens when you get a podcast. You
So-
try to put
yeah.
words together that make sense. And,
Yeah.
and
Well, I mean,
seem
you
eloquent.
always say post-consumerism on Wednesdays,
Right.
so I
Yeah.
knew it was coming.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for knowing me so well. So anyway, there's a guy on there. He's a longtime journalist. He also does, he does the nightly goodbye and gives his column on the air
Yeah.
thing. And all of a sudden,
It's like a commentator, like the anchor.
Howard Beale, and then all of a sudden something just snaps in him, and he can smell what's happening in the culture, and he's overwhelmed by it. He's
Yeah.
so enraged by the sleeping nature of our culture and how we're being pacified by all these products, and just as long as we have new toasters and ovens, we don't care.
Right.
And this whole thing, and he says, no, I want you to get up, and I want you to go to your window, and I want you to open your window, and I want you to lean out, and I want you to yell, I want you to scream at the top of your voice, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore. And, even in that, we were, 18,
Yeah,
19,
and we were
somewhere,
like-
and I was like, damn it, I am
I
mad.
know. I don't even want a toaster.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden you just thought, this thing has identified a problem. It's been the right amount of anger to that problem, and now it's saying, bring in the wrecking ball and figure this thing out and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. So we embraced all that thing. But what's interesting from a cultural standpoint is that was right at the precipice of this ramp up in our country,
Sure.
which I think corresponds with this onslaught of media that we have. The World Wide Webs
Right.
were brand new in their infancy at that moment for us.
The proliferation of information, the
Yes.
information proliferation, if you will.
Absolutely.
Too much info.
Yeah. And, all of a sudden, 24-hour news channels were really becoming the thing, and it was all out there. And this slow ramp happens, and especially as we get into the 2000s, we start feeling like now Rage, not the band, but
it's
the
a good
experience.
band.
Good band. Rage has now become Vogue.
Yeah.
Anger has become Vogue. And anger is not just that, but it's become the brand.
Yeah.
So all the TV stations and networks and all that stuff, all the music, even comedians
Yeah,
would
start
begin to
latching onto
build
that.
their set list around rage.
Yeah,
on
what they're
anger.
mad about.
Yeah, this is pissing me off. and
Yeah,
this thing.
definitely.
And so that pulled us down this road
Hmm.
of anger and rage, and it has been steadily building, and obviously it's found a home in politics.
Yeah.
And we've all seen that. So now we talk so much about the great divide in our country. Are we headed for another civil war? Are we in a cultural civil war? All those kinds of things. And I have been one looking at this from the outside in and thinking, I don't know. I mean, so much of our culture is a big pendulum shift. I don't know if there's a place we get back to. I don't know if there's a way to get back out of this, especially with all the misinformation that fuels so much of that fire.
Yeah. What's funny is, now that we're talking about this, sometimes you get outraged about the outrage, which cracks me.
Which is, I think, the right response. Really.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I pretty much have stopped paying attention because I can't handle it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, please tell me if we're getting bombed, and I will vote and do enough research for that. But I will see you at just the stupidity of all the anger. You're like, I can't believe the stupidity of all the anger. I'm angry at the anger.
Sometimes you feel like it's insulting. You feel like you're being led by the nose.
Yeah.
Into whatever's happening.
You know what it reminds me of? When you go to, I don't know if you guys have ever had the chance to go to a talk show and be in the audience, which we got to do for David Letterman's show a long while back, actually. But they have somebody that warms up the audience. If, the person that comes out to get everybody laughing, having a good time, so that when Dave Letterman comes out, everybody's like really fired up. And then also you can hear them lead applause sometimes, during someone will say something funny and you'll see that person go, woo-hoo, and start doing the clapping. It's like whipping into a frenzy, so to speak. And that's what it reminds me of.
I'm embarrassed to say that I've done that with my own jokes.
Have you?
You tell a joke and then you go ahead and plant the laugh.
Pre-laugh?
Yeah. And then that says, oh, that was funny. We should laugh at that.
Well, everybody knows, we have a good friend of ours that has a comedy troupe, and I'm a very good and devoted laugher.
Yes.
I will laugh even if something's just uncomfortable.
You're a laugh encourager.
I'm a laugh encourager, right? So people love to have me in their audience. Although when I go to see my mom in theater, she says, honey, I know you're going to think this show's funny, but if you could just maybe not laugh quite so loud to pull me out of character. And I'm like, Mom, Mom, what, on a 1 to 10, I'm allowed a 6.5, or what's gonna, but anyway, I said all that to say, that's what it feels like, especially because the media is always, looking for, the media is not the problem. The media reflects where culture is.
But they've kind of created a part of a problem.
They're whipping us into.
It's they needed a brand. They have to keep people watching and listening. Every successful business needs repeat customers, and so the way that we do that is by developing a brand and a thing and creating a need which they can fulfill. And so part of that has been, let's create this fear need, this anger need, and then keep telling people you're only going to get the real news right here.
Yeah, from here.
And once you develop that fear, that unsettled feeling, then we feel compelled. I have to watch this tonight, or I will not know what's going on. I have to watch this tonight, or they're going to get over on us, and they're going to come in tonight, and they're going to take our country over tonight if I don't watch this show.
Right.
And so they have been doing that, and the problem for them is that now they've created such an appetite that they are forced and required to keep feeding that same dish.
It's up at 11
They
all the
can't
time.
do the actual news. They can't present just facts. They can't present something that's contrary to the storyline because they'll lose audience. And actually the audience will turn on them.
That's go turn on the TV at any time, which I try to avoid. Plus, I can't work our 4 freaking remotes anyway.
Right.
It always says breaking news down at the bottom with a graphic. So literally the meaning of breaking news is that there's something so important that it's going to break through or rise above the rest. Yeah. If you're always breaking news, you're keeping everybody at an 11.
Which I think is maybe what has happened here. If everything is always demanding rage, if everything is always that big, if everything's an 11 all the time, then 11 starts over time to lose its urgency.
And then you have to go to 12. And God forbid that ever happens.
It's the arms race of entertainment. It's the arms race of anger.
Yeah.
It's like, if this isn't cutting it anymore, if this isn't getting me high enough, I'm going to have to try something more drastic.
And don't you think people get used to it? I think
We've
it's
gotten
like
numb
the
to
frog
it.
in the kettle, everybody talks about that, but that's true. You're so used to living at that level of rage that it doesn't even seem odd to you anymore to
Right.
feel like that. And it kind of reminds me of, we all know those people that have the dramatic cell phone conversations,
Right.
like at the airport or whatever. You're just there, you're just trying to get to your flight. And you're there like, listen, Trevor, I don't appreciate you.
Oh,
blah, blah,
my
blah, blah,
gosh.
blah. And you're just really honestly trying to do the best you can with your day. And you don't need that up on you.
Right.
And then there are the people that I've actually watched people that I know both sides of the relationship, if it's a parent-child relationship or a friendship. I know both characters in the story.
Yeah.
And have you noticed the people that get bored, which is a part of life that I don't like,
Right.
and they will start a fight?
Create drama.
They will create drama.
Yeah,
They will
absolutely.
call somebody up and be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, hey, I'm just trying to get on with my day. But I think those are all symptoms of this rage that is so prevalent in our culture. We're used to being pissed.
Well, so I find this really interesting that maybe just in the last couple of weeks, maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I think it's interesting that it happens to be during this election year, that it feels like this tide is kind of going back out. Instead of just being pummeled over and over and over again, it feels like this wave is going back out to the ocean now a little bit.
Interesting.
And there's this fatigue that set in where people are losing their want or their appetite or their energy for the rage, for the outrage. And
not
so
fun
if you
anymore.
look at it, if you look at cable news right now, so the big ones, so CNN and Fox News, of course, who leads that race and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. C-SPAN.
All of their numbers,
JK.
all of their numbers is for primetime news are down like 10 or 14%
Oh, really?
from this time last year, and that is during
An election year. People just
not only
dialed
during the
out.
election year, but the president's trial and the war that's happening in Ukraine and Gaza and all that kind of stuff. So there are big news stories that are happening, and yet the appetite for very partisan news, and it's interesting because it's the primetime news slots on those networks. Those are commentary news slots.
Yeah.
It's not just reporting here are the facts. Here's what's happening. These are the three-ring circus leaders who whip and say you got to get in a frenzy and you got to be mad about
The
this.
panels,
this.
the panel discussions. If only there were only 3 of them. Sometimes there's like 9 or 10, and there's just nobody
I
needs
just
that
don't
many.
know how you get up and do that every day.
and look at yourself.
Well, that part too, but
Yeah.
I just feel like you at some point in the back of your mind, you're not even believing what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
So
you feel like there's hope? Like you think maybe
feel
people
like,
are catching on
I
to
feel like
this?
maybe we're tired of hating each other at that level, arguing at that level, and maybe because we've been called to be up in a rage for so long, and we haven't really seen anything come from it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's as if we've been called to run drills and to do war practice and to do all this for some battle, something that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then that never happens.
Never happens, and you start
And
saying,
then after a
"I don't
while,
do
you're
that
like,
anymore."
I don't know if I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is important, and I'm not sure it's bringing some. And it's not as if at some point the Democrats are going to win.
Yeah.
Or the Republicans are going to win. That's not how the country works. That's really not how the world works. And so once we started doing that, after a while, we have to ask ourselves, what's this energy going to? What am I being called to? What's going to actually happen from this? And so I find that part of it really interesting, that here we are in this place, a place I didn't expect us to be. But if you look at the trends of it, this outrage fatigue is happening, and doesn't mean, again, that there's not that people aren't going to continue to do their stuff. But I just think as a country at large, we're kind of getting tired of this song.
Yeah,
We're getting tired of the show.
That's a good thing. I
think
mean,
it is.
it's sort of like, I've seen this show.
Yeah.
And let's do something different now. It makes me wonder what it is we can potentially do in our own life and our own communications that would help that tide go back out. You know, not buying into that. Is that turning off the television more? Is that...
Well, people are. I mean, that's what the numbers are suggesting. I mean, some of those numbers are because people are getting more of their news online and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think there's a part of that fatigue that's happening. I know that when you and I get to travel where we go on vacation. Like, last week we were camping because that's what we do as hipster parents. We camp.
I know. And in our 1973 remodeled Shasta
Retro
Airflight,
Shasta.
which you hate and I love.
It's okay. Anyway.
Love the camper.
For that handful of days that we were camping and sitting around the campfire and singing Kumbaya and doing the stuff.
Oh, because we're always doing stuff like that. Yeah. Having Bible studies.
We were not on social media very much. We were not watching the news. We were not doing any of those things.
It was awesome.
I couldn't even tell, most of the time I couldn't tell you what day of the week it was. And
the only reason we had to watch it all is because it's tornado season in Oklahoma, and damn, we're having a major one. Woo!
So, it is amazing how much clarity you have, how much more peace you have, how much more quality of life you have when you have been disconnected and off the grid for even just 3 or 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And so if people take that risk, if you even just do it every other day. There are a lot of shows and talk shows and comedy shows that I really like. And I think they're very intelligent and they're really funny.
Yeah.
But they're really also doing, and for me, is supplementing and encouraging this argument. They are just reinforcing what I feel about, quote, the other side.
Yeah.
So I've made a decision. I don't like the way I feel after I've watched that, after I've ingested that. And so I've stopped watching a lot of those programs.
Yeah.
I made that decision. This was no longer healthy for me, even though those people are really smart and really intelligent, and I agree with them on so many issues.
Yeah.
It's not helping me. And
I think
what do you what would you do? How do you think we can encourage that or reinforce that?
Well, I kind of feel like when, we're taking in a media diet that, reinforces and pushes anger all the time, and same thing on social media, that I think it infiltrates into some of our personal relationships too. So, I did this yesterday. It's summertime and our precious daughter is home. And
yes.
Man, we're having a lot of... praise the Lord, that musical theater camp is starting soon and everything will be okay. But right now...
You're going to a musical theater camp?
Yeah, I would love to. Wouldn't that be funny?
Oh, our daughter's
If you had musical theater camp for adults, yes, please
Yeah.
sign me up. As long
That's
as there,
a Disney
as
special
long as there was
happening
still
right there.
happy hour, I would go. But anyway, there were a bunch of different things going on, and I had seen something else or heard something or kind of been in a atmosphere of anger is how I would describe it, which can happen just in your own car from media or whatever. And yes, she was doing some frustrating things, and I'm sure she felt the same about me. And I that atmosphere kind of entered into the car, and that's how we were interacting with each other. It was sort of like we had been in that situation and we carried it on into our own personal relationship, luckily we're all pretty good forgivers and it was okay. But I think it's important to guard what we see and listen to. And even sometimes people that we're around, that sounds sad because you want to love everybody and you do what you can. But there are some people that you can be around that are angry and toxic. And that's where everything is going to go that they're talking about. And that ends up, I think, sometimes rubbing off or bleeding into our own relationships. So I think it's a matter of being protective of what we take in. That doesn't mean separating yourself out from everybody. It just means, those people. We all are thinking of those people. There's only so much time that you can be around that. And that you can give that, change the conversation, change the topic, politely leave the room, make up an excuse that you need to go do something,
It's nice to see sunlight again. It's nice to breathe again. It's nice to be around people where you don't have to wonder what party are they affiliated with.
Who cares?
Or that you could... There's so many other reasons to hate your uncle other than politics. We should just move on to a couple of other ones.
Do we really need politics to enhance this relationship?
I don't need politics to not like you. So let's just move on and find something else.
That's one of the fresh. That's right.
It's a fresh reason to not like you.
So true. One of the things that is, speaking of refreshing, when we do get together and we do have the Dreamers experience, whether that's, with our own Dreamers group or when we go out and speak to people or different organizations, is how much people are wanting, and maybe this is part of that, the ebb and flow or the ebb of from the anger, just want to be around people and have a connection and a good, positive conversation
Yeah.
and to be away from all that anger. Maybe we can continue to reinforce that the more positive and fun and lighthearted we try to be. Our actions and what we do affect other people.
Right.
I mean, if one person in your family is always angry, you're always going to feel that, you know? So yeah, we love them and yeah, we give grace, but the more that we can, I think, pull away from that, I think the less it will be reflected in us and the less it'll come into those relationships we have. I mean, I hope it's super exciting that you feel like that tide is changing.
Yeah, and I think the more we just to your point, I think the more we engage in that conversation, the more that we encourage people in that. Aren't we all tired of being mad? Yeah. Well, there are a lot. I mean, that's a great conversation.
It is a great.
That's a great thing,
starter.
and people. I do think that once people think about it, yeah. I mean, a lot of us do have that fatigue. A lot of us are tired.
Yeah.
It's not that we, are giving up on politics or giving up on, issues or that kind of thing. It's just that we don't have to hate each other in the process of doing that or be suspicious of each other is because we don't agree with each other and all that, like we talked about last time on the last podcast.
Do you remember when we went to Singapore and when your parents were living there? Mm-hmm. And they were so cool to fly us over, so we got to experience that country. Of course, let's not think about politics because I'm not going there. Singapore is a whole interesting other, experiment politically, but it was really interesting because they did have, it's an island. And so it felt like they were able to get the message out a lot, but we would see these banners and it would say, don't lose your festive joy.
Yeah. It was actually written on the street in front of the crosswalk.
Yeah. Like that was the kind of their motto or something, which is so
don't lose your festive.
Yeah. Joy. And we still, one of my favorite words is festive. Yeah. And so we say that all the time, don't lose your festive joy. Yeah. But you almost wish that, there was a way in our culture to put up some banners and one of them might be anger is boring.
Yeah.
We've seen this show. Yeah. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore with anger.
Well, several years ago when we were watching the Mad Men series and all that stuff. And
ooh, I missed that show.
It was a great show.
Got dark though.
And I can remember you'd wake up, they would premiere the show on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Wake up on Monday morning with a Mad Men hangover. Just like, I can't believe Don Draper did that.
Man, what is wrong? That guy ever going to get it right?
Stuff. And then you and I were joking about it one morning or one night, about, man, gosh, that was heavy. And then I said, we tune in for the drama. That's what makes the show work. Yeah. You don't watch a show where everybody goes to Olive Garden, has a great meal, and goes home. Yeah. I mean, that's not it. So,
exactly. But you also don't want to stay in that.
But that's one thing as a voyeur to watch that unfold on the stage or on the screen or whatever. It's another thing for us as a community and as a culture to constantly be in that play. Yeah. And at some point, you want to exit stage left or right and say, I'm done now. I don't want to be in this play anymore. Yeah. I don't want to be in a thing where I have to be suspicious of people and hate people and argue and do all that stuff. I would like to just get on.
Yes. I think that's exactly what we should do. I mean, talking about it and being aware of it and then trying to implement a little of that into our own behavior and own relationships. And maybe everyone should have 4 TV remotes like we do. And then if they can't figure out how to turn the TV on, they just read.
You can do little things like say, okay, I'm only going to watch the news
this much.
Night. Yeah. I'm only going to watch, I'm going to take a break from these programs, or I'm going to read my news for a while instead of getting, or I'm going to actually try and get news and not commentary. Yeah. And I think that stuff can be really helpful in the process. Yeah. And then just choosing at some point to be done.
With the anger.
With the anger is a big part of it.
So, I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Just like you can choose to have us in your city if
nice
you want
transition.
us. Thank you very much.
That was good.
Trained professional from the School of Journalism at the University of Oklahoma. There's only one. Yes. So if you would like us to come and do a Dreamers live with you, we would love to do that. We do these events with people when we're not doing it as a podcast,
as opposed to animals.
Well, this is a Dreamers Live podcast. Oh, right. But the Dreamers Live events we do are super fun, and we love hanging with new people and meeting new people. Fun. And we can come do that in your city, at your favorite bar, your favorite civic group, or your favorite home. And so just let us know. We'd love to come do that stuff.
Yeah, and help you start up some good conversations.
In the meanwhile, we're loving coming to be with you either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, and we want to keep doing that. So if you would forward this and star it and thumbs up it and like it.
If you're going to star it, could you make it a gold star? Because that would make me feel better.
5 out of 4 stars or something like that.
Oh, that's
And then you can leave comments. We love comments, or you can email us. You can find Anjanette's music at anjanette.com or on all the streaming services. You'll be hearing that music at the end of this show, or on the iTunes or whatever. You can also reach out to us on speakingofjwebster.com, and there'll be email addresses and all that stuff. So that's it for episode 007,
right.
officially titled Outrage Fatigue.
I like it. We will see you guys next time. I'm assuming for 008. I'm not really good at math, but I feel like that's going to be the next number.
I'd risk it on that. Yeah. All right. Peace out.